Well, happy 5-year anniversary. It's January 6th, everyone. Remember, this was, worse than Pearl Harbor. It's been 5 years since the day where you have these undercover officers encouraging people to climb up scaffolding and enter the Capitol. Why would they do that? That's weird. And then, just so they could calmly walk through these velvet ropes to make their voices heard. In a guided tour, look at all the violence. Look at all the chaos. Look at all the deadly destruction. Oh my God, the horror of these people calmly being guided by Capitol Police to go walk through the halls. Just wanted to say happy anniversary for anyone who celebrates. Welcome back to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. Once again, our Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr. is taking steps to make America healthy again. I'll read you the latest headline from yesterday. CDC reduces U.S. childhood immunization schedule from 17 to 11 diseases. So I want to explain to you what has changed. And I want the Maha crowd to just calm down, okay? If it were up to me, there would be more moves, more movement. It's not enough. But I don't want that to distract you from applauding what is happening now, because it's all good changes. He can't just totally just bust up the entire system immediately. He's got to get there, okay? So here's what has changed. Childhood vaccines are now being lumped into 3 different categories. Number 1, immunizations recommended for all children. The second is immunizations recommended for certain high-risk groups or populations. And then the third, immunizations based on shared clinical decision-making. So you can see, which, by the way, that means if you and your doctor speak together, they've gone over things with you, you both agree, then they will recommend those shots. So you see here on this chart, diphtheria, tetanus, and by the way, the pertussis, those all come in the same one. So they're saying you should get that shot, which I don't agree with. You should get the Hib shot. You should get the pneumococcal shot. You should get polio. You should get measles, mumps, and rubella. You should get the HPV, which I also don't agree with. You should get the varicella. I don't agree with any of these. And you should get the varicella, chickenpox, which we all know is not a deadly disease for the overwhelming majority of people. So there is still work to be done. However, if they want to stair-step this the way that they have stair-stepped everything else, they would do it in this way, which is actually high-risk groups or populations. Only they have to take RSV, or I should say, only should it be recommended. RSV, hepatitis A, hepatitis B, meningococcal, and then the last tier there, of course, the one that's hey, you guys probably don't need this. Rotavirus, COVID-19, influenza, and then they've got the other hepatitis there. So what didn't happen, I just want to be clear here, because there's always the fear-mongering. Oh my God, RFK is taking away our right to vaccines. How many beautiful children are going to be killed because RFK didn't give them their precious chickenpox shots? Well, actually, spoiler alert, 0 probably. But let's just be clear. No vaccine has been eliminated, okay? The CDC is still requiring insurance companies to cover the vaccines if people want them. That is not going to be an argument. It is not that, but what about the poor people who can't afford the vaccine? It is still going to be covered. And it's just fascinating to me, the hysteria that continues. For months now, honestly, for an actual almost a year since Trump's inauguration. And we had these little, I call them trials, because it basically is. You have all of these appointees who go in and sit in front of the Senate and get grilled by all of these senators who have no idea what they're talking about. This is how long that this has happened since Trump got back in office. Liberals have said he's going to take your vaccines and he's going to kill all your kids.
You promised that you would not take away vaccines from anyone who wanted them. That was your promise.
No, I didn't. I never promised that I was going to recommend products for which there is no indication.
When you said,
and I know you've taken $855,000 from pharmaceutical companies, Senator.
Did you hold up a big sign saying that you were lying when you said that? Because you are the one who said you would not take them away. Now, Senator
I'm not taking them away from anybody.
Secretary, you
want me?
Hepatitis B is on the agenda. So should Americans expect you to take away hepatitis vaccine access as well, even though you promised not to?
As I said, I'm not taking vaccines away from anybody.
Okay, same answer, right? You're just going to deny that when people can't get access, that you're not taking it away. Then let me ask you, is that the same game you're going to play with measles?
You want me to recommend every product in the world?
No,
so that without any clinical trial data.
Through on your promises.
It's actually, it's hard for me to ask this question because maybe I'm wrong. I feel like Elizabeth Warren has to be the most insufferable on the Senate side. Stephen, can you imagine being married to that?
Oh gosh, no.
Just the shrill, just like the Karen energy of like her voice, it makes me want to jump off a building.
It's not good. I don't know if she's the most though. There's a lot of.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a debate. That's a whole show.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't want to misspeak. I don't want to.
I'm gonna go Hirono at least over that because she's so dumb. Cory Booker.
Yeah, but females.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Hirono's really bad though. You're right.
She's bad though.
It's just so insufferable to hear this bitch talk. Like, no one's taking away the vaccines. Okay, you can still go to the doctor and get it. I realize, Liz, that you are being paid heavily by all of the pharmaceutical companies. Like, I got it. By the way, RFK had your number in his confirmation hearings. He also explained to you, I know how much you're getting paid, millions of dollars, and campaign donations have come to you from all these pharmaceutical companies. I understand your fight, but that's not what's best for the American people. So it's just so funny to me that these corrupt politicians want to whine and cry about all of these precious vaccines. What if my child doesn't get the vaccine for COVID-19? Ma'am, he'll survive. Kids don't die from COVID-19. But what if my child can't get the vaccine for hepatitis B? Ma'am, is your kid going to like ragers with drug addicts? Is your kid shooting up drugs? Is your kid having unprotected sex? Oh, okay. Well, I think your kid's going to be fine. What if my child doesn't get the vaccine for measles? Well, here's the interesting thing about measles, ladies and gentlemen. Measles was also just a regular routine childhood disease until there was a vaccine created for it, at which point they wanted to convince the American public that it was very, very deadly. And notice, every time you hear on the news, there is a measles outbreak. There was a measles outbreak at Disneyland. There was a measles outbreak. Oh my God, you have this many. What? They don't say deaths. They say cases. The same thing that they did during COVID-19. They say cases because they can't find the deaths because it is not a scary, deadly disease in the overwhelming majority of the time. Okay? And when you look at the history of this, vaccines are out of control. That is undeniable. That is an undeniable, undisputed fact. If you would like to dispute the fact, when I show you this chart, that vaccines became absolutely out of control, I don't know what else to tell you. In 1983, there was a handful of vaccines for children. That's it. That's the 1983 amount of vaccines and doses that you were supposed to get. Compare that to the 72 doses in 2025 that the CDC prior to this recommended that you inject your children with. How can you look at that chart and tell me that there isn't something horribly broken? Now, keep in mind that in 1986 was when they had the National Vaccine Childhood Injury Act. And Interestingly enough, you have the 1983 version of vaccines recommended, and then you have the 2025 vaccines that are recommended. And what happened in between then, just a few years after this 1983 list, was an act that gave pharmaceutical companies complete immunity from liability. Interestingly enough, guys, when you give liability immunity to pharmaceutical companies, they come up with all sorts of shit to shove into your child and get paid. And guess what? It's very, very evil, but it's very, very smart. I mean, show me a business plan. Show me a business plan that isn't very smart, that says, we're going to come up with as many different vaccines as we can. We're going to get them on the recommended CDC childhood schedule, and then we will have a cash cow that never ends because children always are going to be born and get the shots. It's all about money. It's all about money. But you know what? Don't listen to me on that. Listen to RFK about money and the hepatitis B shot.
Most of the vaccines after 1989 were added not for public health reasons, but for profit, pharmaceutical profit reasons. So why are we vaccinating one-day-old babies for hepatitis B when the only way they're going to get hepatitis B is, hepatitis B is sexually transmitted. You get it from having sex with from multiple partners, gay sex, or from sex workers, or intravenous drug use. Why would you give that to a baby? It clearly, the only reason, in fact, Merck, when it developed the drug, was told by FDA and the CDC, we want you to develop this for those vulnerable populations. And the populations, when they didn't buy it, Merck went back to the agencies and saying, you told us to develop this vaccine, nobody's buying it. And CDC said, don't worry, we'll just recommend it for children. We'll force everybody to buy it.
By the way, thank you, RFK. That's completely correct. Here are the receipts from the New York Times. March of 1991, U.S. panel urges that all children be vaccinated for hepatitis B. It is the first time that the Immunization Practices Advisory Committee of the Public Health Service has recommended vaccinating children for a disease whose victims are almost always adults. If adults, this is a quote right there, in larger font than the rest of the article, if adults won't go for the shots, then give them to babies. It's right there in print. It's always been about money. And as these pharmaceutical companies have been making record amounts of profit, our children have become sicker and sicker and sicker. Do you think that is a coincidence? Do you think it is a coincidence that they keep coming up with new diseases to find vaccines for that you didn't even know existed? You didn't even know. You're like, HIB? What's HIB? Steven, throw that chart back up. What's HIB? I mean, I know what HIB is. I've researched all of this. The average person is not like, oh God, I'm scared that my children are going to die from HIB. Okay. How about what's one of my favorite ones is the DTaP, diphtheria, tetanus, acellular pertussis. That shot in particular. Do you know what is great for acellular pertussis, for whooping cough? Do you know what is great? Large doses of vitamin C, but that doesn't make money. That actually doesn't make money. So instead, we will just include that in a shot with two other diseases. By the way, the tetanus one, you don't get it from a rusty nail. You don't get it. That's a common misconception. You don't get it. If you step on a rusty nail, you're like, oh my God, I got tetanus now. No, you actually don't get it from a rusty nail. It's much more complicated than that. And it is much, much more rare. You're talking about bacterial spores that are like are not receiving oxygen, that are like on farms with a bunch of manure. Like the conditions have to be just right. It's extremely, extremely rare. So there are still problems on this recommendation sheet that I would like fixed. Chickenpox is just a regular old disease. Tetanus, not every child needs the tetanus shot. So there are problems that still persist, but the bottom line is that we have the right people in charge, and I would like to believe that RFK Jr., this is just what, you see, he's stair-stepping it, guys. They call it baby steps for a reason. First, he decides to change the CDC advisory board to actual, oh, I'm sorry, they're not the government experts that have been in government for 50 years that have been profiting with, these backdoor deals that they're doing with the pharmaceutical companies. They're actual people who care about the safety and wellness of children. Then he's like, you know what? Also, we're going to remove the red food dyes. And you know what? Also, we're going to not recommend that all children get the hepatitis B vaccine unless they're like, I don't know, like going to wild parties. Unless you're like your infant is like, goo goo gaga, give me drugs. Like, you probably don't need it. Let's not do that. And now he is like, you know what? We should probably modify this. We should probably not have all of these as just straight recommended. It can be a little bit more nuanced than that. And you know what? That is progress. And for that progress, I am very grateful. Okay. Make sure that you're subscribed to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered so you don't miss a thing. Hit the bell. I know a lot of you are like, I hit the bell. I still don't get the notifications. Listen, I can't give you solutions for all of the weird, funny business that's going on behind the scenes over at YouTube, which, hey, return our call, please. We have some questions for you guys. But what I can tell you is it takes you 5 seconds and it's totally free. Make sure to smash the like button and comment. It'll help us in the algorithm, which we all know is stacked against us. We've got much more to come, but I want to thank our sponsor this segment, GhostBed. So I don't know if you've ever heard this. There's this phrase, it's called micro-tired. And it's that feeling that hits when things slow down and your brain is like, you should really take a nap, but you don't got time for that. And on and on. This is because of your sleep quality, actually. So go check out GhostBed. This is the most incredible mattress. They've got a bunch of different award-winning mattresses, over 60,000 glowing reviews. That is all great. But when you think about the way that getting good sleep affects every facet of your life, it's worth it to make sure that you invest in a good bed. And GhostBed has cooling features in every mattress that it actually senses your body temp and adjusts. So never get too hot, never get too cold, which I know that's a big problem for people. You're a cold sleeper, you're a hot sleeper, or whatever it is, or maybe like your spouse wants it super cold in the room and then you can't ever get warm. This will help with that. And unlike those dense foam beds, GhostBed has layers of perfectly crafted support that's going to adjust with you. So listen, every GhostBed, I know people are like, but what if I don't like it? First of all, you're gonna. But second of all, it comes with a 101 night sleep trial. So if you don't love your mattress, return it for free and you're getting your money back. That's all there is to it. They're giving you your best deal of the year plus an extra 10% when you use my code Sarah at ghostbed.com/Sarah. Remember, that's SARA. There's no H. It's just an unnecessary letter. It's ghostbed.com/Sarah, promo code Sarah. So yesterday, we went through what happened in Venezuela and how it actually is America First, President Trump's decisions with that. And a funny thing happened, and we played a couple clips of these protesters who were like, actually, I would rather have Maduro than Trump as president. Like, okay, all right. But they had all these protests, and they were curiously just popping up all around the country 12 hours after the strikes. Hands off Venezuela. No blood for oil. Hands off Venezuela. And so you notice that's so crazy because these are all different cities and they have the same signs. Can you play that again, Stephen? That is New York City, Houston, DC, and Seattle, all the same signs, the same font, the same color, the same signs. And I'm just wondering, where did you get the signs so fast? Like, that's interesting. And so when you see the similarities here, you're like, okay, all right. I'm sure these were really, really organic protests that just happened to just organically pop up all over the country. Okay? It's not these idiots in the streets who probably couldn't point to Venezuela on a map. Turns out, moments after the first bombs dropped, a coordinated cell of socialists started to carry out a disinformation campaign here in this country. This is from Fox News. Second Front, how a socialist cell in the U.S. mobilized pro-Maduro foot soldiers within 12 hours. So you see all these posts start popping up online. One of the key organizers in the post is Manolo de los Santos. Why do they always have to have so many damn names? Just use a first name and a last name. You don't need a bunch of names in between, okay? But Manolo here thinks that he's very, very important. So Manolo is Manolo de los Santos, and he is the executive director at the People's Forum, which is according to them, a proudly socialist 501c3 nonprofit based in New York City. Now tell me why we have a socialist nonprofit. How is that allowed in this country? That should not be allowed in this country, okay? But it is, and they're in New York City. Now, I also want to show you this related picture here. All smiles with Nicolas Maduro. All smiles with Manolo de los Santos and the other guy there. This is another major organizer, Vijay Prashad. Now, Vijay likes to organize all of this chaos from his home in Santiago, Chile, where he is most of the time, okay? But the story is always the same. They mobilize these paid agitators. They hand them the signs. These people have no idea what they're talking about. They don't have any idea what they're talking about. They're just like, oh, you want to pay me to hold up a sign? Sure, I'll do that. That's why these man on the street videos have been so incredibly eye-opening. Like, they don't know about Maduro. They don't know about the history of that country. They don't know that Venezuela actually, when it was run well and it was a capitalist society, was actually thriving until Hugo Chavez came into town and was like, you know what? Communism's cool. This is going to work. And then here we are. Children are eating dogs in the streets. These people don't know any of that. So once again, if it's not George Soros, it's Manolo de los Santos and Nicolas Maduro and all of these. In my country, they're going to make it look like a grassroots movement when, of course, it's just a highly coordinated information campaign propagated by socialist cucks. And people who, like viewers of the show, I think you're suspect. You see these popping up all across, and you're like, okay, we have this many Maduro fangirls in this country. Like, what, you guys had nothing to say about Venezuela, and now you're protesting in the streets for a dictator? Like, I don't know. This doesn't seem organic. Well, you guys are the smart ones. Unfortunately, mainstream media, they're kind of retarded, guys. And unfortunately, they are now, I think, equal parts evil and retarded. And so they're giving legitimacy to all of these highly coordinated campaigns. Let me give you the New York Times. U.S. faces uproar over Venezuela attack. And then, of course, they mentioned Kennedy. When in reality, the vast majority of Americans actually support what President Trump did. They actually support, like, dictators of communist regimes not being allowed to do what they're doing, to kill their own people, to bring drugs into our country, to bring gangs into our country. They actually don't support that. But the New York Times, easily fooled. Easily fooled. Then you have, this is one of those, anytime I see a View clip, I'm like, misery loves company. I watched it and now you have to. And so you have Whoopi Goldberg, who had this moment where she was like, who voted for this? Nobody voted for this. Nobody voted. Oh, wait. Now, don't mention Chris Murphy or Chuck Schumer or Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or literally any of the Democrats who 5 minutes ago were saying that we had to get Nicolas Maduro out. Don't mention those. Whoopi Goldberg is now very, very offended that Donald Trump is sticking it to a communist dictator, okay? And so Whoopi Goldberg is like, who voted for this? And then there was an actual interesting response. I think that it pained her. I think that it pained Ana Navarro to respond this way. But credit where credit is due, she did push back a little bit.
Is this a legal thing? I mean, who voted for this? Who said, hey, yeah, go on in there and do this?
Your question, who voted for this? Mm-hmm. The people in South Florida, the Venezuelan community, the Cuban-American community, the Nicaraguan-American community voted for this. And for us, this is a very, very happy day when we see a dictator who has been part of oppressing and abusing the Venezuelan people for 25 years, when we see him in handcuffs and held to some sort of accountability. It brought me into tears. It brought me great joy.
It's like, guys, wake up, read the room. Read the room. In no sensical, common sense, regular world are people upset about a communist dictator. Again, this is what the crazy part is. Again, we didn't go in and blow his brains out. We didn't go in and kill him. We went in the most badass fashion ever. We went in 6 minutes, grabbed the mother and his wife, brought him back here and gave him a bottle of water. I can't get over it. Stephen, find that from yesterday. They gave him a bottle of water. They gave him ear protection so that the helicopter or wherever he was didn't hurt his ears. They didn't want hearing damage. They were so nice, over the top gracious. They could have just, when you hear, look at that. You're welcome. Now, it doesn't look like it's Ozarka or like Fiji, but hey, we're keeping you hydrated, okay? That's not a war crime. They're covering his eyes. He's got eye protection. He's got ear protection. I don't know what it is that he's holding in the other side, but I would like to believe that it's a snacky, okay? So I don't know what you guys are complaining about. We brought him here. We put him in a comfy tracksuit. As he was walking, he was wearing a stylish tracksuit. It could be worse for Nicolas Maduro, okay? But instead, these dumb liberals, these paid agitators, take the streets and show their true selves once again. The only thing that I wish would have happened differently, and I understand it's this is just purely from a political viewpoint, just purely strategical, entering the midterms, is I don't want the American people to forget about this by the time they vote in the midterms. I don't want them to forget about this in the general, okay? Because this is it's very important. It's very telling. Who cares about national security and safety? Who cares about the world? Who cares about geopolitics? Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and co. Because just enter standard Democrat here. Whatever Democrat it is, they're going to have the same policies. They're going to have the same shitty policies and platforms as Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. They want to enter us into World War III with Russia and Ukraine. Remember, the Democrats wanted us to escalate a war on the other freaking side of the world. Okay? And then you have the Republicans who are actually, I don't like that China is cozying up to Venezuela, that North Korea and Russia are cozying up to Venezuela. That's probably not a good idea. Oh, by the way, they've got all of this oil that they stole from American companies. Oh, by the way, China actually is very dependent on that oil, and it is actually in our best interest to make sure that there's not an alliance formed there. Oh, and by the way, this man and his regime has already waged war on us, which we talked about yesterday. Go check out the show if you missed it. It's very, very obvious. There was an open letter penned about it. So it's just laughable at this point. I don't think it's going to work on this one. I think that the liberals have jumped the shark, and I genuinely don't think that it's going to work this time. By the way, you guys, if you have not yet joined Blaze TV, we'd love to have you. You can subscribe today. Save $20 off with promo code Sarah. BlazeTV.com/Sarah. That is BlazeTV.com/Sarah. I wanted to get to this story yesterday, but it's been drinking from a fire hose while being back. And so I just wasn't able to get to it. You may have missed it as well. I don't know, because again, there's just been so much going on. But the leftist violence continues. The leftist violence continues. There was another attack on a prominent Republican, this time our own Vice President JD Vance. And so what happened was some person, we'll get into that in just a moment, some deranged person thought that they could just go break into his house by smashing in his windows, which is, you've got Delta Force with our military that are going in and like extracting Nicolas Maduro in 6 minutes. You've got like the elite of the elite. Like that's what Republicans give you. And what Democrats give you is like, oh, some dumbass off the street thinks that they can just walk up and like smash the windows out in the vice president's house and it's going to work out well for him. So JD Vance posted on X about this. He said, I appreciate everyone's well wishes about the attack at our home. As far as I can tell, a crazy person tried to break in by hammering the windows. I'm grateful for the Secret Service and the Cincinnati police for responding quickly. They weren't home. He said we weren't even home as we had already returned to D.C. And by the way, he did say he wants to, like, he doesn't want his kids to see all of these images of someone trying to break into their home. So he had asked the media not to actually show the picture of that. We are respecting that. So I don't want to show that to you because I can't even imagine like having your children see that and then feeling unsafe in their own home. But you notice that JD Vance calls this suspect a crazy person, which, boy, he couldn't be more bullseye on that, JD. It turns out, oh my God, hold on. Let me give you my shocked face. It's a radical trans leftist. Oh my, who could have ever, what? Who could have ever seen this coming? A son of a wealthy doctor, a Democrat donor who recently changed his name to Julia. Oh, from William to Julia. This is 26-year-old William DeFore, who now goes by the name Julia. And I am so shocked. I tell you. Look at, am I selling it?
Oh yeah, it's a real wow. Now I'm sold.
Oh my gosh. Who could have ever predicted that someone who isn't treated for their mental illness goes on to do really crazy, violent things? Hold on. There's someone that isn't treated for their mental illness, but then also goes on to take like mind-altering drugs, hormones that their body's not supposed to have. Who could have possibly predicted? Oh, except all of us. Let's put up his Instagram page as Julia DeFore, she, her. Wow, that is, nope, that's about the ugliest looking girl I've ever seen. I don't think any hormones in the world are ever going to have you pass, Willie. And I just, don't drop the soap in prison, okay? It's not going to be a fun place for you. Or maybe it will. I don't know. I hope it's not. Now, this, as I mentioned before, this is a very wealthy family. Grew up in a wealthy Hyde Park neighborhood, a $1.3 million home. His parents donated thousands upon thousands of dollars to Democrats or Democrat causes, including the one and only Kamala Harris. Are you shocked at that too? What? I never would have predicted that. Well, except it's just another classic example of the rise in trans leftist violence in this country. We got all of these. There you go. Multiple mass shooters now confirmed as being trans or non-binary or Z-Zim or any of the other made-up bullshit that they go by. Denver, you have Aberdeen, you have Nashville, you have Iowa, you have Minneapolis, you have Colorado Springs. Like, the list goes on of all of these people who happen to be very violent and aggressive. And it really, it wasn't that long ago that we all could agree, as with any other delusion of grandeur, that this was a mental illness. It is just so, it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way. And that's what's so frustrating. It's like, it doesn't have to be this way. We don't have to tell mentally ill people that they're totally normal or sane, okay? Which, by the way, to that point, I'd like to ask you, does this seem like a sane person to you?
People keep telling me that I'm a fake woman because I'm transgender. Bro, look at these brownies that I made. I spent all day in the kitchen today waiting for my partner to get home so I could present them with a tray of brownies. You think that I'm a fake woman? This is as womanly as it gets. I sit down when I pee, I wear dresses, and I love the colors purple and pink. You think that I'm a man? I sleep with stuffed animals. Yes. Of course I'm a woman. Only girls are allowed to do that.
What the hell did I just watch? This is it's actually so offensive that these people reduce womanhood to making brownies. Like, that's what womanhood is to them. He's like, oh, well, but I wear dresses and I sleep with stuffed animals. No well-respecting woman, grown woman sleeps with stuffed animals, by the way. Memo, newsflash, I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Am I wrong? I haven't slept with any stuffed animal since I was a kid. That actually is the first sign that you might be a little bit unstable, sir. But on top of that, I don't know. I mean, I have like a uterus. I'm capable of having a womb inside me that grows a tiny human body. And then my body like actually knows exactly what to do in order to get that tiny human that I grew for 9 months earthside. Okay? But to you, it's just about brownies. Like that's how incredibly unwell these people are. And it doesn't have to be this way. Thank God that JD Vance is safe and that his family is safe. I worry when the next crazy trans lunatic is actually going to be successful. That's the problem. Society needs to stop embracing this. I think that mental health providers need to face very severe consequences. Like, I'm talking like criminal charges if they actually go along with this madness. It's just enough. It's enough. Too many innocent people have had to die or have their lives turned upside down because of this trans nonsense. And just to like give you an example of that, I have a guest coming up who has had to participate in all of the life being turned upside down because of all of this trans nonsense. You're not going to want to miss her story. And she joins me next on Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. Stay tuned. My next guest has been on the front lines of the fight to keep men out of women's bathrooms, which you would think like 10 years ago would just go without saying. It was not a conversation that we needed to have. And now all of a sudden, we as women have to actually fight to keep our private spaces private. I want to welcome Williamson County, Texas Republican Party Chairman Michelle Evans, also my personal friend for a very long time. I'm happy to see you, my friend.
Good to see you. Thank you.
So Michelle's story, for those of you who are longtime watchers, she was on the prior show, which was like right over there. And she told her story about encountering tell me if I have the facts wrong here, Michelle, encountering a biological man in the woman's bathroom at the Texas State Capitol back in 2023 during the debate. They were having a legislature debate on gender reassignment surgery for minors.
Yes.
So you and other women were just trying to do your business, get in, get out, wash your hands, get a paper towel and go. And there was a man that was at the sink washing his hands.
He came in to use the facilities and we quietly let him do his business. But while he was in the stall, I was telling people, like, just so you know, there's a man in here.
Yeah.
He came out and washed his hands. I held the door open.
Well, that was rather nice of you.
Yeah.
Or was it more of like,
at least
okay,
he washed his hands.
Yeah, you can go.
Yeah, I held the door open because I wanted him to see me on the way out. The door was wide open, which means everyone in the hallway could see right into this area.
Right.
And I said, next time, use the bathroom across the hall. It's for men. And then I get back into the house gallery. A friend says, did you see? They posted on Facebook there was a man in the women's restroom. And I was like, I was in there.
Right.
Send me the photo. I tweeted it out. And then they seized the Texas Department of Public Safety, Capitol Police, seized my phone at the behest of Travis County DA Jose
Garza, which is like one of the worst of the worst. And so throughout this entire time, this is again dating back to 2023, throughout this entire time, you have been embattled in just trying to fight off making sure that you don't get criminal charges placed on you for simply sharing a photo that someone else took of a man in a woman's bathroom.
Right. Fully clothed, face away from the camera. I've never named him. I've never shown his face. It was kind of dormant. DA Garza, after we filed the lawsuit against him, said, I'll pause the investigation. But then on December 9th, we got an initial opinion back from a three judge panel of the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals that said, okay, we're going to greenlight this investigation. It doesn't violate her constitutional right to free speech.
What was your feeling in that moment that you got that decision back?
I mean, I was happy to get something back because it was just so quiet and it loomed over my head. That wasn't exactly, I mean, obviously it wasn't the way we wanted it to go. I think that the dissent in that case was great. Judge Oldham was a Trump appointee, gave a very strong dissent in support of my case. So we had some options in front of us. We could ask for the full panel of the Fifth Circuit, all the judges to hear my case. We could sit on it and wait for the statute of limitations to run out, and I'll just check the warrant filings a few times a week just to make sure I'm not going to get arrested, which had been my reality for most of December. And I just told my attorney, do whatever you think is best. Yeah. I'm just kind of along for this ride, and I just want to have some sort of closure to the case. I definitely want my phone back. It's got family photos that I didn't back up to the cloud. That kind of sucks. And then all of a sudden, everything got turned on its head.
Yeah. So now, all of a sudden, backing you in this fight is Elon Musk and X Corp's global government affairs team. And they actually posted on X. X is proud to support the legal case of Michelle Evans. The First Amendment protects Miss Evans' speech, yet in a 2-1 vote, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals issued a misguided and dangerous opinion allowing the criminal investigation to go forward. X is therefore assisting Miss Evans in pursuing an appeal before all 17 judges of the Fifth Circuit. We look forward to the full Fifth Circuit correcting this wrong and preserving free speech, which is the foundation of American democracy. How in the world did they get involved in this?
I would love to know.
Really? You don't even know?
So the Sunday before Christmas, they emailed my attorney and said, hey, we've caught wind of this case and we're interested in helping. They didn't give me any details of what that help means, what way they're wanting to assist. There's definitely not been any conversations about financial support. And I know that's how it's been presented in the media. I didn't even know that they were going public with it last Monday. So a friend of mine texted me the tweet and was like, hey, this is happening. I'm like, oh, okay. So this is really happening, and I mean, it's great. Like not to use a bad joke, but it's like a rocket to the moon at this point. The story has new legs now, and people are kind of understanding that this is happening in Texas, and oh my God, like why?
Right.
There was some confusion because Ken Paxton, right before this decision, had put out a press release saying that he had set up a tip line for men and women's restrooms and that he was encouraging people to submit photo evidence. So how the tides have turned in favor of women's rights since then. And if my story helped move the needle in that direction, then that's great. I mean, I'm happy.
Yeah, I mean, because I was literally thinking about this as I was getting ready this morning, and I knew that I was going to see you. And I was like, okay, so the crime is that it was in the bathroom, correct?
Yes.
You can't take a photo in a bathroom. Now, even though you didn't take the photo, which is the entire reason that this is all upside down. But then I was thinking like, man, if I were a criminal and I wanted to commit really heinous crimes, I would just go do it in a bathroom.
And what's hilarious is that USA Today reached out to me for a statement. And then when they put the story out, the thumbnail for the story was trans activists sitting in that same bathroom. And I was like, okay, so
who took the photo?
It's fine for them to do it.
Right.
It's not okay, for us to do it when we think that we're from our vantage point, we were documenting a crime.
Right.
And I was posting on X to say, there are little girls in the Capitol today. Yeah. Do not let your little girls go into the restroom unattended. Right. There are men in these bathrooms.
Yeah.
So it's wild to me that it's okay in some areas. And it was that That photo was retweeted 1,500 something times.
I think I was one of them.
Probably.
Yeah.
And a bunch of trans activists were involved in that too. And yet it's okay for them to do it.
Right, yeah, because I was just like, oh, you want to go do drugs? Go do it in the bathroom at the Texas State Capitol because no one can take a picture of you.
Yeah.
Right? You want to assault someone? Go do it in the bathroom because nobody can take photos or video, and it's like it never happened.
Right.
It's just like
a
absurd.
safe area for criminals.
For criminals, not for women.
Right.
I mean, that's where we're at in Austin, Texas, under the leadership, and I don't want to just say Jose Garza, but also like the Texas State Capitol has got to get that figured out.
Well, this past session, the House Committee on Administration or House Administration Committee, I butchered the name, they actually did change the rules to where you cannot have a man in the women's restroom because...
This past session.
Yes.
2025.
2025, finally we're acknowledging biology.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, I appreciate that. I'm glad that they did, but it's like...
2,000 years too late.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. For the state of Texas, that's embarrassing.
It is. And we think about it, like yesterday, this video went viral of a man in a Planet Fitness bathroom stall doing things that you shouldn't do anywhere in public, but definitely not in a women's bathroom stall.
He was making himself real happy.
Yes.
That's what he was doing.
And had been walking around naked before he did
great.
That.
Wonderful.
The young woman who took that video, my heart went out to her because she said, I don't know why this is getting attention right now. I took this in May. I was really nervous about even posting it because I didn't want people to call me transphobic. And I'm thinking like, you could be criminalized for doing that, but not him.
Right. Exactly.
Tish Hyman out in California with the Gold's Gym, she had her membership revoked because she was walking around unclothed in a private area.
Yeah.
And a man had been there. So it's upside down.
It is completely upside down. So we still don't know the logistics of how they're helping you, what they're doing to offer support. Very happy for the exposure. But in the meantime, you still have legal bills to pay.
I do. Yeah. My understanding is that they will be just providing some legal strategic support, but my attorney is still running point.
Okay, so obviously attorneys are not cheap.
Nope.
So please tell everyone how they can help your case.
I have a give, send, go. After Elon or his team tweeted that out, I was like, well, I guess I can republish this. Yeah. I had closed it down a couple years ago while everything was quiet. But if you go to my X profile, which is Thinker Michelle, it's a pinned tweet, and you can see the link in the comments.
Yeah, so please, I would ask you guys if you can help with her legal expenses. Go ahead and go to that Give, Send, Go because it's kind of insane that people can be, have risk of being bankrupted all for posting a photo that someone else took of a crime that's taking place. Someone who is predatory in a vulnerable woman's space, and this woman now has to pay legal bills to fight her way out of being criminally charged.
Yeah. The more I fundraise, the further we can take this. And I would love to take this all the way to the Supreme Court.
That would be one of the most proud moments of one of my friends. Yeah. Oh, I'm totally there.
Just not in the winter.
Well, Michelle Evans, my friend, thank you so much for joining me. And thank you for being in the fight and willing to put your face out there. I know it's not always easy with all of these trans activists coming after you. They can be really brutal. I think it's the mental illness that makes them that way. Anywho, thank you so much. Keep us updated on the case and how else we can help. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you tomorrow.